34 teams from across North America arrived at Island Bay Yacht Club in Springfield, Illinois to compete in the 2011 Star Class Western Hemisphere Championship Regatta. The home of Abraham Lincoln welcomed the top sailors to Lake Springfield, which offered a challenging course because of the ever-changing winds. Star Class members, including several women participants, enjoyed the camaraderie and appreciated the skills displayed by fellow sailors. Joe Londrigan, Mike Pick, and Linda Preckwinkle, the event coordinators, and Tom Londrigan, a vice president of the International Star Class Yacht Racing Association and a Springfield resident, were recognized for bringing the regatta to this welcoming Midwestern city. Needless to say, Lake Springfield hosted some of the finest sailors in the world who tested their tactical skills and agility for a race celebrating 100 years of the Star Class. But sailing skill and agility played second to touchy weather conditions that affect Lake Springfield. Even though the thermometer read a searing 97 degrees, sailors were excited to test out the inland lake. With winds between 5 and 15 miles per hour heading south-southwest, the setting could not have been more perfect for 3 successful races. Sharon Hadsell, principal race officer and native of Springfield, now living in Annapolis, Maryland, shared her thoughts on the first day.
It was a good day. It was a great day. We had wind. It was variable. We had it as low as 5 knots and as high as 15, but probably averaged to 8 to 10 knots. They got 3 good races in. That's a really nice first day of a regatta. It always makes you feel good when you get 3 races in on the first day. Lots of good sailors, very good competition, very tight competition out on the water. This club has put a lot of work and effort into making it nice for the sailors, and that's our goal, is to give them some good, fair competition on the water, and I think we did a good job today.
After the first race, Joe Londrigan, another local and winner of the day's silver medal, shared how tricky Lake Springfield winds can be.
The third race, they moved the starting line because the wind had clocked to the right. And, you know, we started that race trying to protect the right-hand side because the wind was swinging right. And we had a pretty big lead for the first 2 legs. And the wind came back hard left on the second beat, and we still led that race. But we failed to protect the left side again on the last beat, and so we let 4 boats get by us.
Tom Londrigan Jr., a Springfield native and vice president with the International Star Class Yacht Racing Association, and his colleague Steve Cutting talk about how teamwork played a key role in their winning the second race.
We talk a lot on the boat, and we've sailed together for a number of years, so we sort of get what each other's doing.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the value of, number one, having 2 guys that get along well on the boat and understand each other, but then spend some time on the boat together as well. Some of the guys will come in with tremendous teammates, but if they haven't spent any time together, it's hard to get that teamwork going.
And Brian Kramer of Canada, winner of the third race, talks about how becoming familiar with the course on the first day can only help his team and others to ultimately win the regatta.
Each time you race in a body of water like Lake Springfield, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So we'll add tomorrow to today, and then Friday to finish it off.
But the first day did not come without incident. During the third race, a penalty was called in accordance with Rule 42 involving kinetics. Leo Reese, an international judge since 1992, talks about how important conduct and self-policing is to the success of a series.
The judges on the water certainly bring value to every class. Not only do we, in this particular case, do we have the job of calling kinetics, but we also can observe what is happening on the water, and many times we will see incidents on the water. We've observed today boats taking their own penalty. My hope is that they don't know that we're here. That's basically, and that's the best way to put it. The best regatta is when the jury really doesn't have to do anything. The competitors have policed themselves, and the rules have been obeyed.
So day 1 of the Lake Springfield Regatta ended with local natives securing gold and silver, and Canadian Team 8143 clutching the bronze.
Well, because we're from Canada, we come because we like going places that are warm. It's just this is insane. I think I have sailed in every continent over the last 7 or 8 years, and I'll just remember the experience here at Lake Springfield very fondly.
The rain held off on day 2 of the 2011 Star Class Yacht Racing Championship, but weather still proved troublesome for the 40-plus sailors. Officials had to suspend the first race due to dramatic wind shifts causing problems to conduct a fair race. Sharon Hadsell, Principal Race Officer, talks about the unfavorable conditions which caused officials to sound the 3-horn signal calling for the first race's suspension.
First race we abandoned due to a 90-degree wind shift, and it really was not a fair competition at that point. And that's simply the reason we did it. However, in hindsight, it was a good time to do it because the wind promptly died.
And although Tomas Ornios, who led the fleet during the first suspended race, was disappointed about the call, he respected the official's decision.
And the downwind was another struggle. I mean, the wind was dying and continuing to shift right. And, you know, just keeping your air clear and going fast. We were able to round the mark in second, actually, at the leeward mark. Canadian boat passed us. And then, but we tacked first for him, and we kind of got bow out on him, and we're leading at that point. And then they blew the 3 horns, and we were pretty bummed, but I understood why it happened.
The caliber of sportsmanship displayed by Ornios was also shared by his teammate Kip Gardner.
Obviously, Tomas explained, you know, the shift at the top of the beat, but I was a little disappointed. But like he said, it was shifting at the start of the second beat that it wasn't fair, and it probably would have been a parade to the next mark. So, you know, you have to swallow it and, you know, get back in the boat and do it again.
During the 2-hour suspension, sailors had a chance to reconnect with their Star Class colleagues. Jack Rickard, a Star Class racer since 1956, shares how sailors from all over the world are just one big family.
When I was in the service, I was stationed in St. Louis, and then I would come up here and race starboats, and it was a project of the fleet. Every weekend I'd stay with another member of the club or of the Star Class, so that I didn't have to buy a hotel room, which I was in poverty at the time. Couldn't afford it.
After the suspension, sailors were eager to get back on the water, but were disappointed when called back once again. Winds were not cooperative and shifted 180 degrees before dying off completely. But volunteers were on hand throughout the course to lend assistance and bring competitors back to land. But just as participants were being towed in, Mother Nature once again deceived officials by offering a gusty southerly wind. Hadsell again recounts how difficult it was to make the decision to bring in the competitors for the second time.
We went back out on the water, waited for wind to fill in, which it did. We got a southerly that finally filled in about 2 o'clock, between 2 and 3. We got a race off, which looked really good until about halfway through the race. When the wind died completely. Glass, a mill pond. So the poor sailors sat in the hot weather. We hoped it would fill back in. It did not. When we got the first flicker of air, they were over an hour and 40 minutes into the race and had been sitting in the broiling sun for a long time. We did get a little flicker, not enough to really move the starboats, but it was a 180-degree shift, which again makes it a really unfair competition. And at that point, we were also concerned about the sailors being in the heat any longer. We did abandon at that point.
Despite all of the dramatic weather changes, Day 2 provided no change to the race leaderboard. Sailors were hoping that Day 3 would offer the opportunity to switch up the standings. Day 3 offered what seemed to be the perfect sailing weather, at least in the morning. Sailors were able to complete 2 races before having to call it a day. It's a big deal for one hometown family to have this regatta at Lake Springfield. And it was an even bigger day for them on day 3, with 4 members of the local Londrigan clan pulling in some hardware and positioning themselves for day 4.
Well, I hope one of us wins, and I think there's a pretty good chance that one of us will win now based on where the results are. Is it important? No, but you know, it is a Silver Star event, and the winner gets to put a Silver Star on his sail. And I've got 3 of them already, so it's not a big deal to me, but I think for my brother Tom, it would be a really big deal. So I can't say that I hope that he wins. I hope that I win, but if he does, you know, I'd be happy with that too.
There are 34 teams in the event this weekend. Only one is skippered and crewed by an all-female team. Barbara Beagle Vosbury is Laura Beagle's aunt. While they both started sailing at the age of 13, Aunt Barb says Laura has come a long way, not only in the sport, but also as a teammate.
It's fun to have your family there with you, and it makes a little competitive thing going. But it's more supportive than it is competitive, and I'm happy that she's here with me. Yeah. I didn't have crew, and she came to my rescue, so that was a good thing. But she's very pleasant to sail with, and all the coaching that she's gotten as a junior sailor and at college has been really pays off.
They say the sport is emerging for women. While it varies from class to class within racing, all women regattas are somewhat select. Racing in the Star Class series, though, these gals have good things to say.
Smaller boats available to them where they're physically able to handle them properly and easily really helps keeping them in the sport. And about the men thing of it, the best part about this class is they're very supportive of us being here.
Heading into tomorrow's races, the ever-changing central Illinois weather could again play a part in the outcome. Sailors are counting on 2 races, some more than others. While Joe Londrigan has 2 firsts going into Saturday, he needs both tomorrow. And he's facing familiar but not so friendly competition, little brother Tom.
I guess that's the way we're raised, and that's why, I don't know about Steve, but that's why I race, is because I like to compete. I don't like to sail around for pleasure. In fact, I really don't like it. I don't like sailing like long distance races. I just like to get on the water and compete against my friends and family, I guess, in some circumstances.
Pat Londrigan also comments on how competitive the brothers have been for almost 25 years and how today's race was no exception.
That first, near the first mark rounding today, my brother gave me a piece of his mind, his opinion, his unwarranted opinion. So, I mean, actually, I was beating him at the time, and I think that's probably bothered him. That's why he had a few harsh words for me.
But competition took backseat to family pride for Tom Londrigan Sr., who was also a Star Class participant and competed against his 3 sons. Tom was more proud to have all of his sons together sailing the Lake Springfield course.
It's a big day for the family. It's a big day for Island Bay Yacht Club. It was just great to have everybody here for the first time on these waters.
And while Teams Londrigan start day 4 with a 7-point difference, Brian Kramer of Canada rounded out the top 3 just 14 points behind the leader. The 4th and final day of the 2011 Star Class Western Hemisphere Championship did indeed offer sailors 2 chances to improve their standings. But the first race proved to be tricky because of shifting wind direction. Officials decided to alter the layout of the race path to a course 2, which made for a longer event because of the narrow water route. Sharon, the head race official, discusses the role that Mother Nature and Lake Springfield's ever-changing winds played in determining the races.
It was a challenging week. It was a very challenging week. Conditions were extremely variable, and we didn't have the length that we would have liked sometimes, which made us change courses a little, and that probably explains race 6 that you had mentioned earlier, people were questioning what that was. That was course 2, which is a triangle, followed by a windward leeward, followed by a triangle, and then a windward to finish. So it's you can get dizzy counting the laps on that one. And I know the sailors don't love that, but it was the only choice we really had with the wind direction, what it was.
But the weather did not slow down Dave Watt and Brett Wilson, who clinched first place in both race 6 and race 7. This was the first event that Watt from Seattle and Wilson from British Columbia sailed together. When asked how unusual it was to partner and win for the first time together, both say it was just a matter of teamwork.
I'd say it's pretty unusual. I know a lot of things fell into place. I have a starboat, and you know, Dave being a starboat owner too, we know kind of what has to happen around the corners, and I think our confidence in the boat handling was definitely up, and we could focus on the big picture, and definitely that's what this racing was about, is keeping your heads out of the boat and looking at what's going on.
With their 2 Day 4 wins, Dave and Brett captured a solid second place in the overall standings. That left Joe Londrigan and partner Matt Peterson to secure third place for the regatta. Joe speaks modestly about his team's journey.
It was a good event for us, you know. The ball didn't bounce our way. We made a few mistakes, you know, but we were right there and we had a chance to win. We just we needed a big day today, and the first race, we took a little bit of a chance. Started down the pin, and the wind was going left and just about crossed the fleet and couldn't make the first boat and had to tack back, and it was a struggle, you know, in that race after that. So.
But it was Joe's brother Tom Londrigan and teammate Steve Cutting who made waves at the regatta by coming from the rear to capture the 2011 Star Class Western Hemisphere title. Tom and Steve had started in last place in race 1 and 2, but eventually their luck started turning for the better.
Yeah, there's a race. There's a race when we were last place off the starting line, and it was
Came
early.
back to second.
Well, it took a long time, but we slowly climbed back. I mean, we had a couple races where we were ahead and held our lead and won the race, but this thing was bleak. And we just slowly snaked our way through the fleet. By the time we got to the finish line, we almost beat the winner of the race, and that's when we knew that things might be looking our way.
But it wasn't until between race 6 and 7 that Tom and Steve began feeling confident in their placement for medals.
We got out the score sheet and started doing the math.
We were doing math on the boat.
Kept sailing by other boats saying, what place did you get? What place did you get? And we weren't really that confident until about 20 minutes after that finish of that first race, and then we figured out our math was okay.
A bunch of people finished all around the same time, so we weren't quite sure where we finished off. So we were trying to figure it out for a little bit, and
Right, and so the second race today we just did for fun and tried to stay out of people's way, and we bettered our score, really.
We did.
Yeah.
The 2011 Star Class Western Hemisphere Championship featured outstanding competition and exceptional sailing despite variable weather conditions. With their first and third place wins, Springfield residents and brothers Tom and Joe Londrigan brought hometown pride and bragging rights that the Midwestern city offered competition to world-class sailing. Even if they didn't bring home championship titles, all participants agreed that the regatta was an overwhelming success.
Linda in particular, the water team, the Gatorade, the boat washing, just fantastic. I've been at this stuff for 40 years, done this in Asia, here in North America, in Europe, and here's by far the best involvement across the board. So hats off to everybody here.
The hospitality was unbelievable, and it made this event. Everyone was really, volunteering, putting in their best effort, and I think the real winners are definitely the club and the volunteers. They did a tremendous job.
Much credit for the regatta's success goes to Joe Londrigan, Mike Pick, and Linda Preckwinkle, the event coordinators. Linda shares her thoughts on how the participants helped to achieve such a high-caliber championship event.
And I think that the regatta has surpassed everyone's expectations. Our wind held up. I think the parties were great, the company was great, the camaraderie of all the sailors. It's just a great group of people to be with. Star sailors work hard, they play harder, and you just couldn't find a better neat bunch of guys and gals to be around.
In and out of the water, the 2011 Star Class Western Hemisphere Championship will go down in the books as a Silver Star event.
It was beyond my comprehension that we'd win a Silver Star, so this is
It's a big day.
We'll never forget it.